Recording in progress. So it is May 6th at 11 a.m. This is the prep session number 1 for your study for your boards for July or whenever you're taking it at this point. I just wanted to talk about some things that if you hear something in the background still talking, it's because I have the board meeting on my tablet. I'm pretending that I'm still there because I'm required to be there. So shh. Oh wait, I just said it on a live camera, didn't I? I attended the part I needed to attend at least to get people's licenses approved and find out about the LCB. So I have some good news for future PTAs. That good news is, remember all the changes I've been talking about coming to the NAC, removal of the 2,000 hours, the potential changes to the number of supervision people that PTs can supervise, all that fun stuff. The good news is that was submitted to the legislators. So it's called the LCB, the Legislative Control Board. That's up in Carson City. That's like all the bureaucrats. It was submitted on December 15th. We're now in May. This is how fast the government moves. So good news is it was submitted on the 15th. It was approved for a control board number on the 16th, so one day later, and they've been reviewing it since. The good news is we did hear back from the Licensor Control Board. They should have 2 weeks and we should have approval of the new NAC. That is huge. Like, I can't even stress how huge that will be. The next step is once we've got approval from the board, the next step, oh God, I look old. Oh, my beard is gray. The next step will be a public adoption hearing. Now, I'm going to make a request for this because I'm going to send out an email when this happens, because when the public adoption hearing comes out, we are already getting rumblings that there is a certain physical therapy chain that is fighting the public adoption. I won't mention their name. I'm sure that some of you can figure them out. They are an alphabet chain. Let's just go with that. It's a couple letters. So we'll just let it at that. I can't say either way. But that chain is fighting the tech laws. And here's the deal. If they fight the tech laws, that means everything gets stopped. Everything. That means it all goes back to committee. It all has to be reassessed. It all has to go through committee again, go back through approval committee, go back to the LCB, get LCB approval, come back to us, have another public adoption hearing, which could take another 6 months. They are saying that they cannot operate without techs because techs are the way they make their money. They're actually admitting to this on camera, which, like, why the board didn't instantly fine them is beyond me, but hello, kitty butt. So when I send that out, my concern is that they're going to brigade it with all of their managers. So PTAs have to show up to this meeting if we want to make sure that it goes through, is what I'm saying, because they will take a public vote. And if they have the majority, they win. If we have the majority, we win. And I would like to get this finalized. And literally, the board changes to tech rules aren't even as stringent as I wanted, but they're a step in the right direction at least. They really limit them from doing any hands-on techniques with the patient is really the only change, which let's take that for a win and we'll fight the rest of the fight later down the line. If it gets approved from the public adoption hearing, then in July, it will go before the board and then it becomes law. So literally by July, the 2,000 hours could be out for you guys and you could work in home health day 1 of getting licensed. So that is huge. So I'm waiting for the public. That's kind of what I've got it on over here. I've got the transcript running over in the corner so that I can see if it pops up what the date is. So hopefully once I get that, you have no idea. This has been a 4-year-long battle. Yeah, like 4-year-long battle to get these rules changed. And it's finally, once it's done, I'm retiring. I'm done. I'm not doing anymore. This has been stress incarnate. So there's that. For those of you that also don't know, you probably see some of cohort 13 popping in here. They were interested in coming in and number one, wishing you guys well, and also number two, kind of seeing what this board prep looks like. So if you see any of their names in there, they're just coming to wish you guys well. Number two, for those of you that don't know, I am now acting program director. I don't know how interim the title will be, so we'll see. It is a lot of work. I didn't realize quite how much work it would be, but we also have accreditation coming up. And so the good news is I like reports and numbers. The bad news is there's lots of reports and numbers. Dr. O'Neill did finally resign in like 2 weeks ago. I won't go into any of the drama that happened in the last 2 months of your program. All I can say is I apologize. There were things that were beyond my control, and that's all I can say about it. Because there was things that were beyond my control. I was an instructor at that point. Now I am program director. Now I am the one that makes the rules. So it is what it is. I've not officially moved into the program director's office because I feel like that's a jinx. If I move there, it becomes permanent. I'm scared to do that. And oh, the IT department's on campus right now fixing all of our computers, like they're upgrading our computers. We're getting Windows 10. That's how much of an upgrade. Yeah, Jason's like looking. Yeah, Jason, my computer in my office is Windows XP. So yeah, that's where we're at. So that's why we can't be on campus. So that'll bring me to the next thing. And I'm just curious about this. So on Friday, when we have these sessions, I have the option to host. I'm still going to do it virtually no matter what, because I don't want Jason to have to drive 90 minutes to come in just for a study session. You know, or I think at least one of you is out of state. I don't remember. But I have the option of hosting it on campus for those that would want to come in and prefer to be face-to-face. You would not have to wear the uniform on Fridays. Yeah. That's fine. As long as you're not dressed like you're going to the bank club or something like that, you're okay, right? So like Jason, if you do decide to come, no pencil skirts and stuff like that. Mine are donated. Or I like that ... donated. But if you would like, just so I can get a general idea, who would prefer that they would like to come on campus at least for the study sessions? Can I just get kind of like a few that would? If not, we'll host them. I have no problem to be a Zoom. I just want to see if anyone's interested in doing them physically. Anyone? Online. It makes it easier because you can just roll out of bed and put pajamas on, right, Brooke? Gas is too much, exactly. Okay, good. So in general, if at any time somebody wants to change that and they would like to come in, please let me know. That also brings me to another thing. If you guys need a quiet place to study or whatever, you can come still back on the campus. So if you need, you know, just kids are running around screaming, whatever it is, and you need a place to quietly come study, you know, the resource room's available for you. The student lounge is available for you, and both of the computer labs on main campus. And if you want, you can even use the corner down where our new computers are. If you need a quiet place, maybe to either come take a test or something like that, that is an option for you. If you do, no, they do not, Riley. So, and I was going to get to that in a second, actually. If you do come on campus for one of those, then you would have to come in a uniform, or at least in business professional. So like polo, khakis at minimum. You can't just come in, you know, in sweats and a t-shirt. The other cohort just got the, not 13, but 14, the brand new cohort, just got the wrath of Dr. Ovreskin for coming in full lab clothes for a day and not even bringing in their uniforms. And they had to go to main campus. So that'll never happen again. And actually the printers on campus, evidently now they're taking away student print access on campus because somebody printed a 1,400 page book. Yeah, like one of the, you know, I don't know, the vet tech books or something like that. Somebody just decided to come in and print the whole book. And it burnt out 2 printers because the printers are set up to be redundant. So if one printer goes down, it automatically sends the job to the next student printer, like in the next room, and it burnt out 2 of the printers. So IT got a little mad about that. So if you need stuff printed, you know, I'm available to print stuff. If I have to print stuff in color, I have to print stuff in color over, that is the correct shoulder. Okay, over that shoulder back there. I don't even have a color printer at school. But I can print stuff in color if it's something you need printed. I'll just charge them for me. I mean, no, I won't. But does that make sense? So overall, I want to also stress, so the instructor for your Tuesday night class, I was entirely impressed by her. I'm just going to say it outright because it's not that Dr. Crane's instructor's been bad, but the last person that was in charge of our group was, I don't know about the group that tested in April, but the people that tested in January, he was just Aussie that was almost impossible to understand. Like, I don't understand, like, I understand most people from Australia, but this guy spoke Australian in a different language, I'm pretty sure. It was just great. And so she's really, I actually talked to her for a good bit after the course. And it's funny as how, like, we worked at 3 of the same companies back in that area. So it's kind of crazy the way the thing is, although I think she was like 25, and that made me feel really old. We also have a student in cohort 14 that just turned 18. I joke that like 9/11 is actually history to him. That really bugs me. It's kind of scary. But yeah, so I'm impressed by her. So please, if you didn't get the chance to attend her thing, I think she designed it really well. I thought I had a cat here on me. But she looks like she's really going to be good. And also, just to let you know about the crash course, they were not supposed to include the crash course. We were supposed to pay that separately for you guys. And Dr. Crane included that for you guys. So kudos to him for doing that. We were going to buy it anyway, but he decided that it was important for you guys to have study sessions up until the end. And he made that corporate decision. I think it's probably because he's like, hey, if we do this, we can get more campuses. Smart business move on his part. I'm just saying. Especially since now I'm on the program director summit. I'm going down to Tucson in 2 weeks, and they're all kind of tired of score builders. The general consensus, and the reason, just to let you guys know, the reason we switched away from using score builders was for cohort 12, we did a score builders, cohort 11, we did a score builder session. And the students universally felt that score builder session was more of a sale for their other products than to help you guys prepare for the boards. Because she spent a lot of time saying, well, we have this product to help you, and we have this product to help you, and we have this product to help you. And the students are like, well, you just wasted 20 minutes of our time talking to us about different products and not actually preparing us for the boards. So we gave PT final exam a try, and so far they're doing really well. You guys will encounter, I'm just going to warn you, when you take their practice exams, you will encounter some questions that you're going to be like, hey, this is more of a PT question. Sometimes you'll see one about diagnosing or something like that. I am working with Dr. Crane on those. Understand that, again, from a PT perspective, they don't understand sometimes what we do. And so they start writing questions like, oh, this is a really good question. And it's a really good question for a PT, but maybe not for you guys. So occasionally you'll encounter those, but they'll still help you in the long run anyway. Is everyone fairly set up, registered, and everything for the boards? Yes, I assume at this point. Okay. Good, 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 good. All right. Is anyone taking it out of state at this point?
I am. St. George.
Okay, that's not bad. That's actually that's a good out of state. I mean, not for you, but
my brother lives there, so I was happy. It was either that or California, and I hate California, so.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, like, I think the other option is Bakersfield, if I remember correctly, or something like that.
There was 2 in Rancho Cucamonga, which that place sounds funny.
Yep. I see that. Yeah, it's it definitely they filled up this time pretty quickly, and I think it's because what do you call it? Carrington had a graduation. So
I called them to find out why I can't go to Vegas. And the lady said because of COVID, they had a bunch of backups. And they're still getting caught up from those backups.
That's right. January got canceled. I forgot about that.
And that's why they do the 5th and 6th now of July. They
Yeah.
do 2 days for right now until.
Yeah,
I think,
and honestly, I was just on a call yesterday about that because they're actually going to adopt a 4-day test window. And they're just going to make that standard because that way it takes stress off of Prometric. And honestly, some people just don't do well on like a Monday or a Tuesday. Like, I think a 4-day test window will be good. Maybe you're a person that later in the week, your brain actually wakes up. And, for me, by the time I get to Friday, my brain's a mess, but Monday I'm good. But I know other people, like Mondays are definitely not good days to test and stuff like that. So hopefully the 4-day test window will go through and that'll make things better. Just to let you guys know something that there is a vote on here that you guys are lucky on. Nevada is going to an online, what do you call it? Online jurisprudence exam starting in July of next year. So you guys are lucky you got through it. I think the next group, so 13 should be lucky and get through it. But then 14 will probably have to take the online jurisprudence exam where they have to actually pay and go take a jurisprudence exam, which kind of sucks for them, but it is what it is. I have to go retake my Arizona one because it's been 5 years. Yay. I scheduled that. I'm like, yeah, I get to go talk about how many people I can supervise, which is none. But good. So everyone's registered. We'll be working through this as we go. Again, the schedule I designed for you, I designed off Dr. Crane's schedule. As we get closer, if there's stuff that you're just not getting, I can spend individual times with you on studying that type of stuff or working here as a group. My plan for this general study session is I want to build on what she does on Tuesday. So I'm going to be attending all of the study sessions with you guys. And if I notice that something's not sticking, because she's not going to have time to spend, if, I don't know, let me think of something. If the lung chart is not sticking with you, and she's only got that hour and a half, I can expound upon that in this kind of time here, and I can take as long as I need because, well, that's what my Fridays are dedicated to right now, is to help you guys get past. If I have to stay up till midnight to do my PD stuff, I have to stay up till midnight to do my PD stuff. That's just the way it is. So that's kind of my plan. My other plan is I figured starting, so just this kind of idea, why do I feel like I got fuzzies all over me? I'm not presentable. My other plan is I'll probably send out a poll on Tuesday evening after her session where you'll just send back areas you want to cover. So if we're covering something like cardiopulmonary, you would send back to me, hey, I want you to review medications for cardiopulmonary. I want you to review, I don't remember what specific disease is, stuff like that. Try not to say, I want you to review cardiopulmonary. That doesn't help me because I can't review a section of a book, 50 books on that. But if you say, hey, I'm not getting how blood pressure works, which I hope you get that, but if something like that, some kind of hone it down so I can design some questions around it. Yes, you can. So here's the deal. So yes, I can answer questions from the videos, from the books and stuff. They can't answer questions from other products. I can. So I can answer their questions that she has. I can answer questions that Score Builders has, that Therapy Ed has, that the Pete has. They can't. They can only answer questions from what they are because that's a copyright issue. Lucky for me, because education falls under all copyrights, I can answer any questions that you guys have. You guys can send me screenshots. The only thing you can't do with screenshots is post them to social media. So if you, I guess technically if you have a private Facebook group, that's okay. But if you're on your public Facebook and you're like, I had this question on the NPTAE final exam and I don't get it, you can't post that to Facebook. You can send it to me, you can send it between your peers, right? But you can't just post it out on social media. So just be aware of that. I don't think that'll be an issue. That's never really been an issue, but I just kind of wanted to mention that so that you guys don't get in trouble at all, please. I would like you guys to stay from getting in trouble if we can avoid that, if that's fair. Any other questions? So my plan for today is that I would like to, I have a little quiz session with 20 questions set up that I have sped up the timer on it. So I sped up the timer to 45 seconds for the question. I would like to see how you guys do under a little bit of pressure. Some of the questions you will have seen before. Some of them you haven't. That's intentional. The goal is to make Brooke really nervous. I'm just joking, Brooke, I'm kidding. But I'm sure that some of you are already going 45 seconds. Oh God, that's not enough time, right? And the goal is to kind of get your brain a little bit quicker on answering questions. And we're gonna work on this a little bit as we go through each of these study sessions on getting you to read questions a little bit faster. I thought she did a really good job where she mentioned reading the end of the question first. I think I remember somebody else saying that a long time ago in school. I don't know who that was, but I'm pretty sure there was some wise man with a beard that said that before. That you want to make sure that you kind of look at that end. You do want to review the whole question, right? But a lot of times that stem of the question shows up in that very last section. And that stem is what's important. That's what's asking you about, right? So it could talk, I'm going to use Anthony as an example here. It could give Anthony's whole life in a question. And at the end may say, and how old is Anthony Wong? Well, all that stuff that you're going through there is absolutely kind of fluff, right? To kind of get your brain going in 30,000 different directions. And the only thing you need to know is how old is he, right? So I have a habit when I'm taking any of these standardized tests, whether it's the ASVAB for military, I just froze, there we go. The GRE, if any of you are interested on going on for PT school, you have to take the GRE. If some of you are interested in going to med school, you have to take the MCATs. All those standardized tests, the first thing I usually do when I open up a question is I kind of go to the end and I skim through the end of the question. And then I go back and I read the question if I need to, because it may be I look at the end of the question, it's like, what is the origin of the biceps brachii? I don't have to read the whole question to answer that. I know the origins of the biceps brachii. I know that it's somewhere on the femur, right? Okay, I appreciate it. Somebody smiled. So Raquel asks, is Saturday exam day from PEMA practice exam or from crash course? It can be either. So, and here's the deal with my schedule. I know I put the exams kind of on Saturday. It doesn't exactly have to be Saturday. That's kind of the end of the week. So at some point during the end of the week, I'd like you to take your practice tests so that you're kind of refocusing. The more practice tests you take, the more questions you take, the more trained your brain gets. I don't have any on Blackboard yet. You can retake the same practice test all. I was actually bringing up score builders real quick. Just give me a second here. So I wanted to show you guys that. Let me pop out my window here so you guys don't see my email. Sign in. Give me 1 second here. So let me share my screen. We're back to sharing screens and stuff. Isn't this cute? So I'm going to use score builders as an example here, but it works with pretty much most of the exams. So in score builders here, from your score builders book, you have an examinations tab. And in here, if score builders decides to work, there are 3 of these exams. Once you take them, you want to go back to the main menu and your performance analysis is here. So this shows you how you did on that exam. So you can look through exam 1, exam 2, exam 3. But if you want to retake those exams, if you go back in here and click on reset exam, that resets the exam to 0 and there's no score there. And so you can always retake those exams as many times. My God, their site's being slow today. Oh, I didn't have taken, so I can't reset. Like, for example, I have a custom exam down here. I can reset that exam and it starts it from fresh then when I make a new one. That was one of the things I wanted to show to you guys. If you want to take let's say a cardiopulm quiz or I don't know what other types of quiz, patho, you can come down here and click create custom exam. This will tell me that you're going to reset the exam that you already have. And then in here, you can pick anywhere from 25 to 100 questions and pick specific sections. Well, obviously you can't pick 100 questions cardiopulm. But if I wanted to take a physical therapy data collection quiz, I can pick the 25 of those and you'll just get 25 specific physical therapy data quiz questions. Now it'll give you 30 minutes. You'll have more time if you don't finish them, but you want to try to finish that in that 30 minutes it's allotted to you. So you can do that for therapy ed or score builders. You can do that for therapy ed as well. With Dr. Cranes, you can't. Dr. Cranes are just the PT final exam are just straight exams. And the PEAT is the same way. Once you guys decide to do the PEAT is just literally a straight exam all the way through and it gives you a score. But you can always do that custom exam there on them. You can do the practice exams from, again, Raquel, you can do the practice exams on score builders. If you have therapy ed, again, I apologize about therapy ed thing. That was a mess. Jason can even attest that therapy ed is a disaster with shipping. For you guys to know, I'm still out $2,800 from therapy ed. I pre-ordered your books before I collected your money. They took my money. They shipped the books. The books got lost, and they told me to go through UPS to get my money back. UPS is telling me to go through them. I'm out $2,800. It's really fun, and it's not on you guys, but I don't know what they're doing with their shipping. I think Jason said they shipped him a speech language pathology book when he ordered it, and so they got to get their stuff together. I couldn't even reorder a new set because my old order hadn't been fulfilled. It's great. But if you do therapy ed, I mean, you can probably order it off them if you wanted or go through Amazon. But if you have somebody that's got a book already from therapy ed, it should be good enough. Or you can do Dr. Crane's exams. Any of those exams you want to do is okay. I usually use score builders as kind of my base because it's the easiest to reset and start over again. Take that, move that away, and bring up my little Slido. All right. So what I'm going to have you guys do is either bring up your Slido app or bring up slido.com. So SLIDO.com on your computer. And we are going to take a practice for a 20 question little practice test that I designed. And let me get in here and get it set up, present. Oops, hold on, stop, go back. All right, so let me bring this up. Share screen. And again, like I said, you'll probably recognize some of the questions. It's okay, today is not the point of re-recognizing questions. Today is the point of getting some speed down on answering questions. So let me bring my chat up. There we go. All right, so you should be able to join now. Do you like my little Slido code? I thought it was appropriate. I didn't know I could create custom codes. I was going to use 666, but I figured somebody might get mad at me.
That's not appropriate for me.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't know what yours is out there. What is yours out there?
775.
775. Or I thought it was just meth/meth. Isn't that nuts? We'll give you guys a few seconds here. And I will make the Slidos available to you guys just to let you know if you want to go back and review the questions later so that you can go back and look at them afterwards. I'll post them with so when I post the video for today, I usually post the link to the Slido in the, like on YouTube in the, what do you call, not comments, but in the description of the video. Ironically enough, I'm finding that the Houston campus is using all my videos. I got a giant hit in subscribers and it was like all the Houston new students. So I called the Houston program. They're like, oh yeah, we really like your videos. So we're just going to use your videos. I'm like, could have just asked. That would have been kind of nice. Joe Mama? Joe Mama what? No. Dr. Reskin and I actually, let's see if she'll share it with you guys. We did you remember when I did the examples, the treatment session for you guys, when I brought one of you up and you guys had to write a note on me doing a bad treatment session? Yeah, we did that and we actually recorded it from like 3 different angles and did a whole presentation style on it. And she was all tickled pink because like I laid out this custom layout for the video. So it's got like the Pima logo in one corner and she's just like, oh my God, this is so awesome. I just used OBS software and she thought it was like the coolest thing in the world that I was an elite hacker. That's great. All right, so we got a good bit of you. Anyone else going to join before I start? Looks like I got a good bit of you in here. We're going to start the quiz. So remember, 45 seconds. Think fast, right? Let's start it. There we go, 13 of 13 answers. 45 seconds seems like a long time, doesn't it? Until, you know, okay, I was to say, it seems like when it's on the screen, it seems like a long time. But man, it's not exactly. All right, good job. So the right answer there is inspiratory capacity, I believe is what it says. I need that to go away. So just as kind of a thought process here, is there any time that we're really working on residual volume? No, we don't want to improve that, right? But let me change this to make it a question. It would be about residual volume. What medical condition causes residual volume to get greater? Yes, COPD. Good, right? Because COPD is they can't get that air out. Residual volume is the air that's just sitting in their lungs. Think about like stale air. And even think about that a little bit from like the perspective of an employee down at the casinos, because when they're at the casinos and they're working, we change over our residual volume. I think I want to say it's about twice per hour. So that smoke that's in there is just sitting in there dead for that whole time. It's no wonder we get cancer from cigarette smoke and that. It just sits in there. But yes, so the inspirometer, surprisingly enough, I don't want to do that. Why did I do that? Works on incentivizing inspirometer, right? Inspiratory capacity. All right, here we go. Next one. Boom. Oh, next one. Okay, first of all, true question here. How many of you had no idea what this question was asking? Okay, so Brooke admits it. Okay. Anyone else? Me? Okay. So what this was asking, that's good. Okay, that's why I had this one. What this is asking is on your plugs that you plug into the wall, right? That's all I know. You have the eyeballs, and occasionally they have an eyeballs with a smiley face, right? So the 2-prong plug looks like this with 2 lines. The 3-prong plug has this. So you've all seen plugs like that, right? Does that make sense? Like your plug, your charger for your phone probably only has 2 prongs. But like my monitors and pretty much all my computer stuff have 3 prongs. What's that 3rd prong used for? Does anyone know?
Isn't it an extra ground?
It's grounding, yeah. There's not a lot of grounding on this style plug. There's a little bit, but there's not a lot of grounding. And that's to protect you in case something should short circuit in the equipment. So for example, like all my electronic equipment I have around me have 3-prong grounds so that if I touch them and there's a short circuit, I don't become the ground, right? If something were to happen, if I touch that, it's going to ground it through the circuit, not through me. If you only have those 2 plugs, and something short circuits and you touch it, you become the ground and can shock yourself and get an electrical burn or something like that. Now, what the question is literally saying here is that the outlet that you're plugging it into only has the eyes. It doesn't have the eyes and the smiley face. And they do make adapters that you can plug into that eliminates the ground plug. It's saying, what should you do? The main thing here is you shouldn't use that adapter, right? So the answer here is discontinue use, because does that make it safe for a patient? No, right? Because let's think about this for a second. I got an e-stim unit, I've got cords attached to the patient. Now that unit, for whatever reason, arcs and short circuits. Who becomes the ground? The patient, yeah, right? And now we've got two little tiny contact pads for all that electricity to flow through 110 volts or whatever at probably, I'm guessing 60 amps or something to that effect. So yeah. Would putting a surge protector help us? No, because the surge protector still needs the ground. Right? If I grab a surge, I don't have any surge protectors handy here, but a surge protector itself has to have the 3 plug in order for it to have that surge protection. The main idea here is this clinic shouldn't even be in service, because technically by OSHA rules, all the plugs in a clinic have to be grounded. And also, what about plugs that are near water sources? What do they have to have? Does anyone know? That is actually sometimes a question on your boards. Think about it, you go to, GFCI. Good, Josh, right? You go to your bathroom. Have you ever seen that little button in your bathroom on your plugs in the bathroom? Right? That's called GFCI. That's an additional ground something control interference. I forget what the F stands for. That actually prevents, if there is an arc, it shuts it off there and doesn't have to go all the way to your circuit breaker to shut it off, right? It protects you. It's to stop you from dropping your hairdryer in the bathtub while you're sleeping and getting shocked. You'll still have bad things happen to you, but don't dry your hair while you're in the shower. That's kind of counterintuitive. But even in the clinic, if there may be a question that says your hydrocollator is plugged into the wall, what type of an outlet should the hydrocollator be plugged into? That should be a GCFI or GFCI outlet, because what's the hydrocollator have in it? As the water boy would say, that's some high quality H2O, right? And the water needs to be protected. All right, let's go. Here we go. I know you've seen this question before. I stole a couple of these questions from a couple of my review sessions before. All right. So just because they are confused does not mean we don't tell them to take their blood sugar first, right? Can we assist them in taking their blood sugar? We can assist, we can't do it. So we can't just literally take it. Now, some states were allowed to take blood sugar because it's considered non-invasive. I'm predicting a day shortly where we don't have to worry about this. I'm guessing probably eventually most clients will move to the monitoring systems like the, I forget what that one system it's on right now, though, where they can just scan it. Pretty sure we're going to eventually move there. It's just what we want is scan barcodes on all of our diabetes patients. Think about all the marketing the restaurant could do then. The marketing could walk around and just check people that have low blood sugar and say, hey, we have this cheesecake here that's good for it. So unfortunately, with shakiness, pale in color and stuff like that, we are not sure. Initially, when you have high blood sugar or low blood sugar, they kind of look alike. So it's better then to check their blood sugar. When would you call 911? At what point would it cause you to call 911 for this patient? If they did what? Yeah, pass out and go unconscious, right? Yeah, preferably, Brooke, orange juice would be the better option. Yes, absolutely. And or better yet, even than that, is glucose tablets. Most of the clinics around town in their first aid kit will have a little packet of glucose tablets. And they're basically like little orange flavored sugar pills that's made to boost your sugar instantly. All right, here we go. Pez, yeah, essentially, really are Pez. Oh. Can I make this full screen so it stops cutting off? There we go. You guys can still see it, yes? All right, so flaccidity, what's that look like? No tone, yeah, wet noodle, right? Exactly. So let's go down through this. I'm glad no one picked neutral heat. What's neutral heat going to be good for? Nothing, because heat can't be neutral. It's either hot or it's cold. There's not a thing called neutral heat. Neutral heat's what your apartment is, right? So neutral heat's out. We had 8% pick prolonged stretch. What's going to happen with prolonged stretch? It's going to make them more flaccid. Yeah, and they're going to get creep. Yep. And it's also going to cause them to get more relaxed in general, right? What reflex are we worried about triggering here in order to cause tone to happen? The stretch reflex. Yes, we're trying to get them to trigger off that stretch reflex. It's almost like Josh just had this with me last semester or something. So he gets a little cheater on this one. Yes, so stretch reflex is what we're trying to figure out. Remember, so let me get my little annotations up here. And let's get a different color. Black was kind of out there. Let's do red. So remember, we had the stretch reflex. And what was the other reflex? Okay, good. We got the Golgi tendon reflex, right? Golgi tendon reflex. I should probably just type this. Let me just do that because that looks like horrible. Let's do typing. All right. So we have our stretch reflex. We have our Golgi tendon reflex. Spread this out a little bit. All right. Yeah, okay, so I was going to say, so which one of those is the inverse myotatic reflex, Brooke? Which one of those two? The GTR. Good. Right, so that means this one is myotatic. And this one is inverse myotatic. Do you remember how I told you to remember that? Syllables, yes, right? Stretch reflex, myotatic reflex, Golgi tendon reflex, inverse myotatic reflex. With the stretch reflex, what receptor are we firing off? What nervous receptor? Yes, the spindles. So muscle spindles, again, a 2-word. Versus the Golgi tendon reflex, we're firing off what? It's in the name.
Golgi tendons.
Yeah, the Golgi tendon organs. So the stretch reflex is going to cause the muscle to contract. The Golgi tendon reflex is going to cause the muscle to relax. So remember, the stretch reflex is if I'm stretching out my biceps and I move my arm way back here to stretch out my biceps, the stretch reflex is protecting me so I don't overstretch the muscle. And eventually, if I stretch far enough, what's going to happen?
Gonna come
good.
back.
Yeah, it's going to fire me back, right? It's going to fire me back and cause me to pop back across. Versus the Golgi tendon reflex is this thing you see at the gym, right? They go, the swole bros go pick up the 400-pound dumbbells and they're lifting, and all of a sudden the muscles go, I can't lift this, and drop it because they relax. They force the muscle to relax so the tendons don't rip off the bone. So in order to cause a contraction with a flaccid muscle, we need to hit the stretch reflex. The quick stretch, remember I showed you I need to get rid of my drawing here. If you remember, the quick stretch is that thing I showed you when I did PNF, where I pop them and cause that muscle to have a rapid contraction and brings it back and across. So then let's take this thought. Could we, if we have somebody that is more spastic, could we possibly use the GTR to help relax them? Yeah, maybe, right? Depends on how spastic they are, obviously, right? We don't want to hand somebody that's like constantly going like this and, you know, just bouncing, to give them a 5-pound weight and then start bouncing that weight across their face. That would be bad, right? But we could potentially use that. What do we use rhythmic initiation for? What's the other term for rhythmic initiation? It's a fancy name for, it's PNF. Yes, it's a PNF, but it's a fancy name for what? Passive range of motion. That's all that is. And if they're flaccid, is passive range of motion going to help them? No, right? All that's just going to do is just, hey, congratulations, you're moving them. Would it help potentially prevent them contracting later on? Sure, but that's not going to trigger the tone. All right, here we go. Next question. Well, next question, there we go. Okay, let's see what we got here. Boom. Did you remember this question or did you actually get it? How many of you guys remember this question from before? Anyone? Okay, don't see anyone did. That's good. All right, which ones can you rule out right away? The zeros, good, right? A and D pretty much you can rule out, right? Especially D, because D is what? Pretty close to normal range of motion. Right? So that one you can definitely rule out. And actually plantar flexion is pretty close too. So those two you can do. And you should realize that how many of us have 5 degrees of extension lag? Almost all of us, right? I mean, reality, we saw that when we measured everyone, most people had about 5 degrees of extension lag just because we're tight. Read the question wrong. Yep, that's okay. That's why we're doing this. That way you don't read questions wrong. So don't get upset about that. That's why we do this. Yeah, 10 degrees, that means that they can't get into what? Extension, be more specific, this is the ankle, not necessarily extension, but dorsiflexion, there we go, yeah, right, which is extension in the foot, but yes, I just wanted you to be specific because I'm particular that way. Yeah, so they can't even get to dorsiflexion. So that means their toes are going to be dragging the whole time. Oh, this one's going to mess up some of you. Okay, good. How many of you looked at these and go, I have no idea? Anyone? Okay, it's fair. So the answer is cryoglobulinemia. Okay. Did you need to know these in order to answer this? I'm going to hint you, no. Right? So what do you know about Raynaud's? What causes it to get worse? Cold. There you go. Which one of those has cold in the title? Cryoglobulinemia. Yeah, there you go. That's it. That's all you had to know. And I put this in here on purpose because I know that you look at these things and you get these diseases and you're like, I have not a freaking clue. Right? This one's just break it down. It's going, okay, something's going on. You got weird color changes of the skin. Skin's going blue. They got Raynaud's. I have no idea what cutaneous sarcoidosis is. Vasculitis is just inflammation of the vessels. Well, inflammation means what? Heat. Yeah, right. Good. Granulomatosis, well, that's got something to do with changing into more of a granular substance. So that one's got to be out. Well, cryo's got cold in it. That's got to be the answer. That's as hard as this question was. All right. So purposely, there are two muscles in here you probably don't know. Right? And I'm going to tell you, there's one of these I'm ruling out right away. Does anyone know which one I'm ruling out right away? Why? Okay, elevates. Nope. Even more simple than that. What's my problem with this patient? It's actually not on the neck, but okay, what type of leakage? Urinary leakage. There we go. Right? Where do you think the levator ani is? It's not in the neck. Anus. There we go. Yes. But that's the right answer. And now let me tell you why. This would have been my way of looking at this. I had ruled that out because I know that's anus. And this is why I want to say this. I would have said, well, wait a minute, that's the anus, right? But in this case, this is the best answer because the levator ani connects onto what group of muscles? The pelvic floor. Good, right? Does pubococcygeal attach to the pelvic floor? Do you even know? What does pubococcygeal help with? Does anyone know? That's okay, Alec. What does pubococcygeal help with? Does anyone know? Men sometimes need to have a pretty strong pubococcygeal muscle. Otherwise, children won't happen. Because it helps with erections. Yes, it helps with hip thrusts, Anthony. Right? Pubococcygeal will help with hip thrusts eventually, yes. Where might, on the female, pubococcygeal attach to? If we know that that attaches to the male penis, where probably does it attach to the female? Yeah, the outside of the vulva, the inside of the lips, and the clitoris. That's where those muscles kind of circle. Again, not useful in urinary incontinence. That's why I said this. I would have looked at this and went, levator ani's out, because that's about the butt. And I would have overthought it. The one thing you remember, though, is we want to get pelvic floor strengthening. And the one thing keep in your head about any pelvic floor strengthening, we are not doing extrinsic muscles. So extrinsic muscles would be the adductors, the abductors, the extensors, and the hip flexors. Does that make sense? Because those are all outside the pelvic floor. Do they help support the pelvic floor? Yes. But if we're strengthening the pelvic floor, we've got to use that group that's in there. Pubococcygeal is literally only like this big of a muscle or so. It's not that big of a muscle. I don't care what people say. You know, they can talk about how big their pubococcygeal muscle is, but it's not that big of a muscle. All right, I appreciate Jason. I got a laugh out of Jason at least.
Mr. McKeever, so you're saying to strengthen the pelvic floor muscles, we have to strengthen the extrinsic muscles?
No, what I'm saying is, in a question about pelvic floor muscles, we want to ignore the answers that are extrinsic. Do we want to strengthen them in the long term? Sure, absolutely, to support the pelvic floor. But if the problem is the leakage, we have to strengthen the pelvic floor, the intrinsics of the pelvic floor, right? So when you do a Kegel, if you remember, I told you guys when you do a Kegel, it's lifting up that pelvic floor. And what should you feel happen at your butt? If you're doing the Kegel right, what should you feel at the butt? You should feel, it's called a gentle closing. So you should feel your anal sphincter lift and close a little bit, right? If you're not doing that, you're squeezing your glutes, right? So it's all about sitting there and focusing. Like I can sit here and do pelvic floor muscles all day long. You don't even know I'm doing it. I know Anthony's been doing them the whole session, right? For men, you should feel the base of the penis lift up as well. For females, you should feel a gentle closing of your vulva. So that's kind of the idea. So that would, again, this would be one that I'm getting nailed on because I would have been like, well, levator ani has nothing to do with it because I'm thinking just about, well, that has to do with pooping and not peeing. But then I forgot, oh God, wait, that's attached to the pelvic floor, right? So pubococcygeal not attached to the pelvic floor, adductors not attached, gluteus max not attached. The only answer then at that point is levator ani. And I wanted to show you how I would have screwed that one up too, if I didn't read it a little bit more in depth. That's why we do 45 seconds to burn you. Good. Yes. The goal of any patient that has diabetes mellitus, whether it's 1 or 2, if the proper exercise program is reduction of taking meds. Now, that does not say elimination. I'm going to get there. Yep, don't worry, bro. Does not say elimination of meds, because likely, especially with diabetes mellitus 2, it's not likely you're going to eliminate the meds, right? But it is likely you can reduce them. Instead of taking 2 pills a day, they can take 1. So HDL is cholesterol, good, right? High density lipids. I always mess that up. I think HDL is, yes, HDL is the better cholesterol. LDLs are the bad cholesterol. But it's just the cholesterol. So what meds would we be looking at if we're talking about the DLs?
Statins.
Statins, yeah, typically statins. Good. Is their body mass index going to go up or down? Probably down. It might go up a little bit depending upon the patient, right? Especially if you got somebody that's kind of tiny to start with and they pick up some muscle, I guess. But normally when we think of somebody that's diabetes mellitus 2, we're not thinking of the smallest patient in the world. I'm just saying. And then what should happen to cardiac output, actually? It should go up. Yeah, right. With exercise or cardiac output, the amount of blood the heart can pump out gets better. Sitting here doing this quiz is causing your cardiac output to go down.
To move it to the following week? Well, we don't really have another week in July. Well, I guess it's July 29th.
I know this one's hard. We're going to be all over the place. I have this feeling. Okay. Well, no, we're 1 or 2. Good. Okay. Which one can we rule out immediately?
Normal vital signs.
Yeah, that one's out. That one's gone. Normal vital signs are not getting a stress test for. Presence of balanced oxygen demand and supply. What kind of test is that?
PFT.
Yes, pulmonary function. Yeah, pulmonary functions test. Good. Or an ABG could be too, an arterial blood gas test. But usually PFT is what I'm more thinking about with that. So good, we ruled those 2 out. So the next 2 we have either is presence of ischemia or presence of cardiac arrhythmias. Well, the answer is ischemia. What test is for cardiac arrhythmias?
EKG.
ECG, yeah, let's use the right term.
ECG.
Yeah, I know we're used to calling EKGs. Trust me, I know, I do it too. But the board's going to say ECGs, I guarantee it, right? So yes, but remember also with the ECG, it's only going to show that time and space. It doesn't show long term. It's not like the Holter test is how they run long term when they check it long term. Recurrent angina means they probably had a what? MI, myocardial infarction. Yes. And if they have an infarction, they've got ischemia. Anytime you think infarction, think ischemia.
So I'm going to move on to item 19, public comments. Is there any public here? Like to comment? Thanks, Keith. Okay, he has no comments. So item 20, I adjourn this meeting at 12:07 p.m.
All right, let's go. So, ooh, good job, guys. I was like, wait, I was getting ready to have to answer this question, but you got this. The main thing with this, the only thing that you have to know is what's prone on elbows. It's the only one that is using the shoulder pretty much. All right, good. I can shut that meeting off now. They're done. Sorry. Yes, so pronoun elbows is the only one that's using the shoulder. I've had somebody argue, well, short-seated, they could be putting their hands down on the tables, but no, the only one that really is a neurodevelopmental position is pronoun elbows here. For bridging, what might we be working on approximation of? Which joints? Hips and maybe the knees, right? Could you technically could say the hips and the knees there? Half kneeling, definitely the what? It's not going to be the knee. Don't answer that. Because the knee's open and half kneeling. The hip, yeah, right? Because we're pushing that femoral head up into the socket. And then short seated, really, there's not any approximation going on other than the butt is approximately on the table. Oh, I might have answered this one earlier. Oh. But I bet we're gonna get between two answers here. I know we are. And then I'll have to explain the difference. Okay, good. We're between the two answers. That's what I wanted to see. So the only reason arterial blood gas is the more correct, the PFT may measure this, but the PFT is going to measure this by doing what during the pulmonary function test? Arterial blood gases, right? Arterial blood gases tell us how much, what and what are present in the blood. O2 and CO2, right? And also nitric oxide, but we're not going to really worry about that too much, right? Nitrogen. But the ABG is going to tell us whether they're in acidosis or alkalosis, depending upon how much CO2 is actually in the blood. The PFT is more to measure how strong their lungs actually are, right? They're going to be doing ABGs during it, but the PFT is more how much can it, if I make them exercise and do stuff, how much air can they, you almost could think of the PFTs as more about like the VO2 max, if that makes sense. All right. Here we go. Joe Mama jumped up there. I'm not going to read that. All right. So a physical therapist assistant classifies the gait of a patient with hemiplegia as equinus. What does equinus mean? Horse.
Walking on the toes or more.
Walk on the toes, stepping high like a horse and walking on the toes. Good. So if we know that they're walking on their toes, first of all, which one of those can you 100% rule out? I can rule out two of those, but there's one that I can 100% rule out. Okay, tibia, but yeah, there's even one more that you could rule out before that. Plantaris, yeah, because this is the plantaris, really. Plantaris is just there to unlock the knee. It's not really that important. We can override plantaris with other muscles. So Not really worried about that too much, but tibialis anterior would be the antithesis to that, so we want that one out. Excessive tibialis anterior would cause us dorsiflex. Anytime you see equinus gait, I want you to think calf muscles, triceps surae, equinus gait, triceps surae, equinus gait, triceps surae. And with tibialis posterior, would that be also included with that then? Because tib post helps with what? Yeah, plantar flexion. And yep, inversion, right? But it helps with plantar flexion. So that would actually make it worse. The weakness would not. Weakness would actually make it less likely. Oh no, Joe Mama, somebody's taking you there. All right, you better all get this one. Okay. At least they're the three best choices. I'll give you that. And I know somebody's going to go, what's cor pulmonale? The main thing to understand about that is that's a critical heart and lung condition. We'll talk about that in cardiology. I guarantee she's going to have a question for you to review on that. So I'm not going to hit that one yet. Intermittent claudication is the right answer here. Could hypertension cause intermittent claudication? Yes, absolutely, right? Pulmonary embolus. What do we be dealing with? Pulse. Yeah, lungs, good, right? But what are we dealing with? Pulse, because it's worried about the arteries, it's the veins. Yeah. Right. So we're not really worried about pulse with pulmonary embolus. We've been worried about what test for them to check to make sure they don't get one in the legs. The DVT test, Homans, and the humans test. I like that one better. We'll call it the humans test from now on, the Homans test. So intermittent claudication, what does that mean? For those of you, in case, so I know somebody here doesn't remember. That's okay, Brooke, I liked it. Yeah, it's cramping due to having difficulty pumping blood. It has radiating pain down the legs, good. What can you do if you wanted to test them for intermittent claudication? How could you make it worse? Raise the legs. Yes, good, good, great job. Right, because if I bring my leg up in the air, right, I bring my leg up in the air like this, now the blood has to pump upstream. And that's going to make that intermittent claudication worse. I can also make them exercise. But if I want to trigger it really quickly, bring those legs up is an easy way to trigger it. And you'll get the patient saying, you know, if I sit in my recliner and I recline back, my legs get more crampy. But if I'm sitting with my legs down, I feel better. It's intermittent claudication. And yes, it is caused by hypertension and all the atherosclerosis. Okay. First medicine question. All right, here we go. Okay, we're all over the place. LASIK is to make you do what? Pee, yes, to get excess fluid out, right? So again, we mentioned before, hyperlipidemia is high cholesterol, which we talked about before. It's usually statins. And then atrial flutter is also known as what?
AFib.
AFib. Good. What kind of meds are we going to be taking for that? Does anyone know?
Anticoagulants.
Well, maybe. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Yep. We may be taking anticoagulants to keep blood clots from happening.
Oh, beta blockers?
Maybe beta or calcium channel blockers. Yeah. One of the blockers.
Or calcium, yeah.
Yeah. One of those blockers. Good. And so that means that also, DVTs would be an anticoagulant of some sort. So the answer is congestive heart failure. Specifically, which congestive heart failure probably?
Right-sided?
Good. Right side, typically. Now, they may give it for left as well. If you're backing fluid up into the lungs as well, they may give it to you. But typically, right-sided heart failure. Remember that right-sided heart failure, body fluid, left-sided heart failure, lung problems. Left is lung for congestive heart failure. Yeah, I'm going to be going over those in one of the study sessions. Don't worry. I know that's again, you don't have to know them perfectly, but I will be going over them. Yes. Okay. So the key thing here with this one is it's talking about its objective findings, right? So elapsed time doesn't matter because how long are they walking for? 6 minutes. Yeah, that doesn't change. That just is what it is. 6-minute walk test is for 6 minutes. Heart rate response. Not really going to tell us much about the patient's endurance. All that's going to tell us is how their heart is responding to walking. So the two choices that would be best out there would be perceived exertion and elapsed distance. But what's the major difference between those two? Yes, RP is subjective. Good, right? So if this says objective, the only objective finding we have is how far did they walk in that 6 minutes, right? If it said from a patient's perspective or subjective, that would be perceived exertion. And also, I'm very sad. I have a problem in my household. I'm out of coffee. So I have to get my caffeine from my Coke. As long as I don't have a problem. All right. Came back in. I thought that was Don Jr. Anyway, so demand type pacemaker, definitely not a precaution. That is a hard contraindication, right? What is demand type pacemaker? What's the difference between a demand type pacemaker and a regular pacemaker? Does anyone know? Does anyone have an idea? Yes, goes off when you need it. Good, right? Exactly. Good job. It's demand. It's based upon how much the heart's working. If the heart starts working harder, the pacemaker starts kicking in to help regulate the heartbeat. Whereas if I'm just at rest like I am now, it kind of allows the heart to maintain it. Active bleeding is a hard contraindication. Unless we're doing, actually even in wound care, it's a hard contraindication now I think about it. I was gonna say unless in wound care, but no, even then it's a contraindication. Why would you not want to do it over superficial metal implants? Gee, I wonder why. Burn them, probably electrocute them too. That would be good. You get a shocking experience out of that. What does decreased ventation mean? Not really with it, right? Why would that be a precaution? Who could monitor it? Yeah, the PTA could monitor it, right? Yeah. Yeah, the techs. Exactly, Anthony, you're exactly right. Yeah, we could monitor it. So that would be one where we would probably want to do attended e-stim. We wouldn't want to do unattended. So let's say you've got somebody that maybe is in a coma. That would be a decreased ventation, but you want to work, you notice their tibialis anteriors are starting to fail. You know, you still could do e-stim on them. You just would have to constantly monitor it. All right, we're almost through it, guys. We're almost through it. Oh, man. Better get this one. This is one of my favorite terms. It's one of my favorite terms of all time. Piezoelectric. Sounds just so fancy. What does that mean? Crystals. Yes, crystals and essential oils. It's the conversion of sound waves via crystals into heat. What type of, so when we put the ultrasound head though on, right? What type of contact are we making then? So what are the transfers of heat? We have radiation, we have transduction. I'm gonna have to review those, it sounds like. Yeah, convection, there we go, there's some other ones, good. Right, so good idea to review that. But with the ultrasound, what creates the actual heat is the piezoelectric effect, the actual creation of those sound waves that are gonna cause it. Only in what type of ultrasound though? Which is the only type of ultrasound that creates heat?
Continuous?
Continuous, good. Pulse creates, remember, pulse you want us to use as, that's okay, nope, that's fine. That's why we're doing this, Diana. Don't, never mind. What is pulsed used for? Pulsed word is what?
Healing?
Healing, there we go, right? So whenever you get an ultrasound question, if it's heat, it's continuous. If it's healing, it's pulsed. 1, 2 more. I'm having one of these right now. Not dry mouth though. Hunger is a sign of which one?
Hypo
Hypo.
isn't excessive thirst is a sign of hyper, right?
Yes. Well, I mean, yeah, yes, okay. I mean, you can have a little bit of excessive thirst with hypo in the initial phase, but it eventually goes away. So yeah, I have to be careful there because sometimes, and the only reason is the body at that point is saying any way that I can get stuff in is way. Why is weakness not a sign? Weakness actually is a sign of what? Both of them. Eventually they'll become weak from either of them because their body just kind of goes into a temporary state of hold. So not a common sign. Weakness is a common sign. Dry mouth is a common sign. Deep, rapid respirations because their body is literally overloaded with sugar. But the main one here, the weakness, I would say, is not the best sign, Brooke, but it's excessive hunger is definitely not a sign. That is the best answer out of this one because that's more dealing with hypoglycemia. Two more. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. All right. What did I tell you that a venous wound looks like? It looks like they're bit by what? They were bit by a zombie. So venous wounds look like they're bit. So this is the way I always remember this because first of all, venous wounds are going to have little to no pain. That's just a given. Why is venous wounds going to have little to no pain? Probably. What are they starting to develop? That goes along with diabetes and all that because venous goes along with that. Well, necrosis could be in a neuropathy. Good. Yeah. Necrosis. Yeah, definitely the skin could be dead too. That's also a possibility, right? I just remember that venous wounds look like a zombie bit you on the middle side of your leg. So that's on the medial aspect of the leg. They are usually very oddly shaped. They're not nice and even. And when I think about zombies, I think about that drool that comes out of their mouth. That's kind of icky and gooey and yellow, and their skin's all yellow. And so then the wound gets this yellow fibrous coating over it. So it looks like a zombie wound. That was my way of remembering it. Right? What type of a wound has well-defined wound edges?
Arterial?
Arterial, yeah. Arterial. And then sometimes the diabetic wounds in the foot can have a little bit better wound, but it's still not perfect, right? They usually look like little punched out holes. So with wounds, remember that if it's medial, it's not well-defined, and it has no pain, that is venous. If it's lateral, it is well-defined, and it has pain, that's arterial. And then if they say pretty much anything about the plantar surface of the foot, that's venous. Or not venous, I'm sorry, diabetic. That's kind of my quick way of remembering the different types of wounds. So again, medial looks like a zombie bite, no pain, that is venous. Lateral, well-defined, pain, arterial, bottom of the foot, diabetic.
And venous, you can have like compression stockings.
Yes, venous compression stockings would work on, right? But with arterial, we wouldn't want to do compression stockings because the problem is blood flow, right?
The heart can't like keep up with it or something?
Yeah, can't get the blood flow down to where it's needed. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And so basically the arteries are dying. That's why you're getting the wounds. All right, we got one more. We can do this. Okay. Okay, first of all, when you see this and it says no S4, S5 motor or sensory, that is automatically what type of a spinal cord injury? Complete. Good. Right? That means they can't poop or pee. Right? So as soon as you see that, no matter what, you're looking for the complete answer. So then you're down to 1 or 2. 1 would be a what type of patient instead of paraplegic, probably. Quadra. Yeah, right. Because 1 is going to involve the arms too. Right. So paraplegic means only the legs are affected. So T8 is the best answer there. But just remember with spinal cord injuries, if it says no S4 or S5, or it says lack of bowel and bladder control, that would be a complete spinal cord injury. All right, good job. So again, we're not 100% yet. That's okay. We're allowed not to be there. Let's exit full screen here, and we're going to exit my sharing. How many of you the time affected? Did anyone in here feel like the time was too little? Feel a little better about the time? You're starting to feel a little better about taking short, kind of quick fire stuff? It's fine. Okay, good, Brooke. Think of that though. That's a positive, right? Right, and that's the goal. That was the goal here, Riley. The goal was to make you a little panicky. So good. So this was just kind of a quick fire one to kind of get your brain working. So for now, if I remember correctly, I think you guys are starting cardiopulm. Is that correct for her, if I remember correctly? My brain is not working right now, so I believe you're starting cardiopulm. Yeah, okay, good. So review the video she has up for you guys, right? If there are any questions on them between now and then, obviously go ahead and send them to me, stuff like that. We'll work through them. And what we'll do is on Tuesday, we'll go through her presentation. And then Friday, we'll follow it up with a little quiz like this as well on cardiopulm, and then some question and answer and some issues. So if there's stuff, what I want you to do is if you're going through the cardiopulm stuff and you're like, man, core pulmonale is just not sticking with me, or the lung chart is not sticking with me, write that down so we can cover it on Friday as a more in-depth topic. You can ask questions, obviously, on Tuesday. She'll answer them pretty rapid fire. But if it's something that you know you need a little bit more time with, save that for a Friday where we can cover it. Make sense? Okay. You guys did good today. That helped your brain a little bit, getting a little bit of a quiz, 20 question kind of fire on? Yeah, okay, good. And like I said, I will post this, and please make sure on my YouTube channel for PIMA, in there has all of the previous study sessions I've done with other groups. This quiz may be in there somewhere. So if you see that, oh, well, it's not going to help you any. But there are other study sessions there. If you want more stuff to study, go through those. Those will help you. Okay. And again, I'm here if it gets to the point where you're like, I need an individual study session, I need to sit down with you by myself and just kind of go over it, reach out to me. We can do an individual study session. I know some of you will get a little bit of freak out. If you're having that, contact me. I'd rather you freak out with me than freak out by yourself. Please. Fair enough? I miss you guys. I'm glad to be here. Yes, great job. It's like Raquel says. And if are there any other questions? About an hour and a half. That's kind of what I figured it'd be. All right, guys, get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your Friday and your weekend. I'm going to go get some lunch because I'm hungry. I am having excessive hunger. Yes, Brooke.
I have a question with like monophasic and biphasic.
Okay.
I really try to understand it and like look at the sheet. We had a question on one of the practice tests when we were taking those ones, and I'd have to find the exact answer, but I got every single one wrong when it came to those. Okay.
So ESIM, monophasic, and biphasic. Okay. What I can do is why don't I add that to next week's review?
Yeah, no, that's good.
And that way I can maybe put together like a little slide on it or something like that to help you out.
Yeah, that'll help because I have no clue.
Yeah, mainly monophasic and biphasic have to do with the waveform, but I can, if I draw it out, it'll make a little bit more sense to you.
Okay.
And
yeah,
that'll help you clear that up a little bit.
already. Okay, thank you.
No problem. Everyone else feeling okay? If so, go ahead and get out of here. All right. Have a good day, guys.